You're going to have to create flowcharts in this class. It's a good idea to learn how to flowchart in general. A flowchart's just a diagrammatic representation of the data and spatial processing flow that you apply to create a workflow that solves a problem. And for complex problems, these can get quite involved. Now, we use mostly this thing called Drawio, which you can access through app.diagrams.net. There's a version you can download and save to your computer and sort of run off your local computer, or you can run it through the internet, which is the way we typically do it. When you first do the Drawio or do app.diagrams.net, here shown at the top is the URL. It goes to a web page and asks you a question about where you want to save the diagrams. It's easier to just tell it to decide later. And then you come to a web page here that allows you to put, I don't know what this random thing is, to put drag boxes or ovals out onto a palette here, out onto a worksheet. And you typically, at least we typically, draw out squares for data sets and ovals for operations. Now this is the reverse of a lot of engineering flow charting, and I think even what ARC uses. So you could do the reverse as long as you're consistent. And you notice that when I go highlight a feature, there's an arrow here that appears, and I can drag that arrow then to another feature. And so I could say this is a data set here, and I can double click inside the data set to type text in that data set. So this might be my DEM for my digital elevation data. And here inside I might have a text I can write that would be my operation. So maybe this would be flow direction. So I'm just doing a basically left click, drag, and then connection between those. So I can have an output data set here that I might call my FDR out set. So I can chain together then a logic. Now it's as simple as that. The great thing about using one of these tools as opposed to using something like, the various tools in PowerPoint or a diagram inside a Microsoft Word, is that if I click and drag, it allows you to reposition things, maintaining the connection for your workflow. And often you need to reposition things. Now, that's about all we need to have you do, is to draw symbols, annotate the symbols, and connect them to show your workflow. You note too that I can have multiple symbols, and I can connect, if I have two data sets, I can connect then between those data sets into the input, in this case, operation. So you can create the network, and you'll have generally a bunch of these data, tools, output data, and annotate this. The only thing you need to do then is learn how to save or load. And so in the file, you can save as to various things. Now, I want to save this to my Google Drive or to my device or to OneDrive or Dropbox, whatever I have. So if I click it, I'll call this test 1. I can save to my local device. So here I'll click on this, and it saves it, in this case, automatically down to my documents folder or to my downloads folder. And so if I open that downloads directory, I can see that I have here this test.drawio I just created. And so if I want to open that test.drawio, I can, in some future time when I open it, or when I open Drawio, IO, say open from my browser or a device. And so I can go to the device then and open this test.drawio. So I can save locally. I can also save to my Google Drive, although sometimes you have issues between some browsers in connecting and getting permissions to your Google Drive. But here I'll try and save it to my Google Drive. and I can save it to the root folder or pick a folder. Now you have to authorize, and this is where it sometimes hangs up. It will usually let you save it to the Google Drive root folder, right? Again, I can't get authorization with this browser. I was just using the Chrome browser and I had no problem getting authorization and setting it to my Google Drive. So maybe the safest thing is to save to your local drive each time and move things around from there, or try setting to the Google Drive or to another drive. In any event, that's pretty much it. You'll be creating many of these and working with these, so you can also, I should say one more thing. When you want to use these in a document or print a document, you can also export them as, for example, a JPEG or a PDF. And if you export them in a JPEG or a PNG, you can set sizes and then export it, and it'll give you the same request, where do you want to save it. So I want to save this to a device, and it will save it to your automatically set download space, wherever that is on your computer. So Drawio, pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use, and you don't have to use it, but we just wanted to show you something.